Located just a few hundred miles from the North Pole, Svalbard is one of the most remote and fragile environments on the planet. It's a place where polar bears outnumber people, and where the sun doesn't rise for months in the winter, but refuses to set during the summer. Over this next week, we'll embark on a voyage along the west coast of this beautiful place towards the polar ice edge, exploring glaciers that defy imagination and encountering some of the locals along the way. I never really know what to expect from an expedition to the Arctic, but this will definitely be the journey of a lifetime. Our adventure begins with a chartered flight from Oslo to Longyearbyen, where we'll board our ship, the Sea Spirit, from Poseidon Expeditions, and sail toward the northwest fjords of Svalbard. Almost immediately, we're greeted by the dramatic peaks of the mountains lining Eastfjorden, their snow-dusted ridges glowing in the Arctic light. One of the craziest things about this trip is that since we're so far north, the sun won't set the entire time we're here. As we sail further up the coast of Spitsbergen, we make a short pit stop in New Alesund, the world's northernmost settlement. This tiny research village is home to scientists studying the Arctic's mysteries and a surprising number of Arctic terns and Svalbard reindeer, our first glimpses of the wildlife that thrive in the far north. But this is just the beginning. Tomorrow, the Arctic reveals its full magic. Arriving at the Monoco Glacier was truly one of the most breathtaking experiences of my entire life. Stretching over 5 kilometers wide, its massive ice face spills into the fjord like a frozen waterfall. Framed by rugged peaks, it's impossible not to be humbled by its scale. To get a closer look, we bundled up in our parkas and life jackets and climbed into the zodiacs, hoping for a glimpse of the life that thrives here. As we approached the calving face of the glacier, I remember trying to soak it all in. The feeling of the brisk Arctic breeze in my face, and the distant groans of the shifting ice in the distance. We cruised parallel to the calving face for some time, admiring the deep scars from past calving events. Our tiny red jackets were the perfect contrast to the deep blue hues of the ice. Tidewater glaciers like Monoco are rich feeding grounds for seabirds and marine life, so we made sure to keep our eyes peeled for wildlife. And then, just beyond a vividly blue iceberg, a pod of beluga whales appeared, their pale bodies gliding effortlessly through the icy water. It was a fleeting moment, but truly unforgettable, a preview of the extraordinary encounters to come. And the next encounter came quite quickly. As we departed Monoco, high above the cliffs of the fjord, we spotted a polar bear roaming its frozen domain. I really couldn't believe it. Svalbard is home to more polar bears than people, around 3,000 of them. But seeing one in the wild still feels like winning the lottery. Watching that bear disappear into the icy expanse, I couldn't help but feel grateful to witness such a rare and extraordinary moment. Reaching the polar ice edge is like stepping into another world. The ice stretches endlessly to the horizon, broken only by the rise and fall of the Arctic swell. It's a landscape that feels alive, dynamic, untamed, and utterly mesmerizing. It's crazy to think that we're only a few hundred miles from the North Pole. We sailed quietly along the ice edge all morning, and then, as if called by the silence, a polar bear appeared on the ice floes. Alone and curious, it began to approach our ship. There were truly no words as everyone gathered on the bow of the Sea Spirit. The stillness on the ship was almost reverent, broken only by the soft hum of shutters as we tried to capture something that a camera could never fully hold. It wasn't just a sight of the bear, but the feeling itself. a connection to something far greater, a reminder of the Arctic's raw power and delicate balance. The next day, we sailed south, again reaching lands at Ytterneskoya, a remote island and former whaling outpost. I really love the opportunity to go ashore on these expeditions and stretch the legs. It's a brief excursion though, as our journey continues southward towards Bjornfjorden. And wow, the views along the way were indescribable. You could spend a lifetime sailing along this coastline and notice something new on every journey. We reached Bjornfjorden in the late afternoon on an absolute stunner of a day. This place felt like the Svalbard I had always imagined. Jagged peaks piercing the horizon, a sea of glacial ice stretching from the brilliant blue waters into the heart of Spitsbergen. It was everything I had hoped for and more. We set out again in the Zodiacs to see the glacier head wall up close, and wow, the scale of this place is truly incredible. What surprised me the most was the color. I never expected to find such vibrant hues at the edge of the world. But here, the glacier painted the fjord in shades of glacial blue and turquoise. So far, this was my favorite place that we visited on this expedition. Another day, another glacier. That seems to be the theme here in Svalbard, and I can't complain. Today, we're at St. Jonsfjorden to explore the Gafflebreen Glacier. Even after a few days of experiencing similar landscapes, it's difficult not to be overwhelmed by the beauty of this place. We gathered again in the Zodiacs and cruised out into the icy waters in hopes of seeing some of the locals, and we were in luck, as we found a sleepy colony of bearded seals, basking on the flat tops of the icebergs. Bearded seals are uniquely adapted to life here, with thick blubber and bristly whiskers that help them hunt on the seafloor. They were perfectly content loafing around as we admired their prime napping location. But the day's highlight came as we sailed out from St. Jonsfjorden. As we reached the entrance to the fjord, we spotted a group of walruses hauled out on a sandy beach. Walruses can sleep for up to 20 hours a day, and these Arctic giants seem perfectly content in their cozy spot. While the action was limited, the smell was anything but. Walruses might be majestic, but they're definitely the smelliest residents of the Arctic. As we sailed further south, we again entered the serene waters of Eastfjorden. We might be in the later stages of this expedition, but there's still so much to see here in Svalbard. And our next stop brings us on a shore excursion to Hemselfossen, a beautiful cascading waterfall surrounded by lush Arctic tundra. This waterfall was reminiscent of the landscapes I've seen on the south coast of Iceland, just quite a bit more remote. After spending the last few days surrounded by ice, Hemselfossen was a lovely change in scenery and a great stretch of the legs. We again boarded the Sea Spirit and turned back out to sea. These expeditions are always so action-packed that sometimes it's challenging to take a pause and be fully present in the experience. Even when moving between locations, I always find myself out on deck trying to soak it in as much as possible. Our final stop of the day brought us to Alcornet, a towering cliff located at the entrance of Eastfjorden. We again boarded the Zodiacs for a closer look, and while our landing location looked a bit unassuming from afar, we arrived to find a sprawling herd of Svalbard reindeer grazing peacefully in the meadows beneath the cliffs. These reindeer were anything but shy, and their curiosity led them right up to our cameras, their soft brown eyes and velvety antlers perfectly framed against the Arctic landscape. I found myself so captivated by them that I almost forgot to glance upward until the jagged spires of Alcornet caught my eye, rising nearly 500 meters into the sky. It's moments like these that make the Arctic feel so profoundly special, even though our journey is beginning to come to a close. As the final days of our expedition unfolded, the Arctic weather shifted, wrapping our last adventures in a shroud of mist and wind. But even in its harshness, Svalbard seemed to offer something special, a quiet moment to reflect. The chance to visit Svalbard and embrace its beauty is nothing short of a gift. There's something about the polar regions that keeps calling me back. Maybe it's the way they remind us of the planet's resilience and fragility. Or perhaps it's the sense of solitude and wonder that's impossible to find elsewhere. Each journey deepens my connection to these remote corners of the Earth. And while leaving Svalbard is bittersweet, I know it won't be long before I'm drawn back again. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.